Meet Julie Shaer, an actor, director, and producer who found her way back to the creative world after getting lost for a time in corporate America.
Julie realized her true path was in the arts after getting connected to Sketchworks Comedy and recently sued and won for the right to perform their Grease parody, Vape the Musical.
Welcome to Scratch Claw Push, a podcast about artists clawing out a place for themselves in the world. I'm Billy Joe Combs.
And I'm Brendan Duke. Let's go. Welcome to the show, Julie Shaer.
Hi.
We're going to kick it off with the thing we like to do at the top of the show. We call it the 60-second intro. Billy's going to give you 60 seconds, and you're going to tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, and go.
Hi, I'm Julie Shaer, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm an actor, producer, writer, director. I've been working for years with Sketchworks Comedy Theater in many different capacities, even as a co-owner. Now I'm in the producer role for Vape the Musical, which is a parody of Grease. The other thing that I do is that I'm a working professional voice actor in the Atlanta area, and I'm also a coach through Atlanta Voiceover Studio.
Wow, everyone's doing so well. That was 30 seconds.
Man, like I feel like...
I think I did it better than, I think I had to do a warm up.
Well, that was amazing. That was very concise. And it sounds like you do a lot. So you're a great guest.
I overtalk a lot though. I try really, that's one thing I need to work on is like the keeping things succinct.
We're voice actors. It's understandable. We just talk. I
mean, come on. It's what
Sometimes
you, it's part of what you do.
I got it. You told me. You said that part. I'm like, did you really hear it? But did you hear it? Like, hear it.
Also, we're just used to somebody else giving us our lines, right? We're like, what do I, when I have
I like looking at a script. I like breaking down script and going, oh, that's the intention. Oh.
Right, exactly.
Talking about yourself sometimes is a lot harder than someone just giving you something,
Well, you did great. So you're our second guest to get it like 30 seconds. So
yeah,
that's an achievement.
I know, like lately, like the last couple are starting to raise the bar, man. We may have to, I feel like, you got 1 minute's like the entry level, but 30 seconds is like pro level. And
I think you guys need to like put that on your website. Be like, so here are the pro level people.
Right.
There you go. We'll just keep making the time smaller until it's like a 6-second CV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Until you're on there like the Micro Machines guy from those 80s toy commercials. Like,
oh yeah.
Totally.
I love that.
You have to be of a certain age to know that one. But I mean, that's
do you actually know that?
Yeah, for any of our younger listeners, you'll have to go maybe look that up on YouTube.
Definitely ages me. I know that's for sure.
So yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you ask the question. Yeah, you ask and then.
Yeah. All right. So, like this is so for the people at home, we are trying. This is take 2 of the interview because apparently the technology was not liking us today. So we're rehashing this all again. But so starting it off, you started, according to your website, you got lost in corporate America for a while and you had to kind of find your way back to the theatrical world. Give us a rundown of like how that went and just that journey, because that's become like kind of a thing on this show. A lot of people, and it's one of those things, like some people, they get lost in corporate America and they don't make it back. So for you, how did you kind of find your way back to the creative world?
Well, first I'll say, I think it was luck. Well, maybe it was luck and maybe it was meant to be. I don't know. Growing up, I did a lot of musical theater and acting and all the things. And I even went to college for it. I thought, this is what I want to do. And then I get just like anybody else after college, you think, I just want to socialize, have a little fun. And, now I need to start making some real money and blah. So when I moved down to Atlanta, since I'm from Boston originally, I came down for the weather. I mean, come on. And I just sort of just got totally wrapped up in doing something that I didn't even care about doing, which is working in admissions for some college. And then I somehow got a job interview at Turner Studios through some other friends of mine. And I thought, great, this is my creative, outlet. It's perfect. And it wasn't really, because I was working in scheduling and project management. Now I thought I was good at those things, and I can be, but there's something like that was still inside of me that was like, I want to do something else. I did work in radio for a while. And so at the time I thought, you know what? I think I don't want to try this voiceover thing. I mean, this is years ago. So I just one day just went to a studio, didn't even take a class, made a voiceover cassette tape, sent it around, brought it to different agents, got an agent. So now I'm represented by People Store in Houghton, still to this day. So that was like kind of on the voice actor front. Although I still didn't really consider myself a voice actor. It was like, people ask what you do. You say, oh, I work for Turner, and I do this. But that didn't feel like in my bones, that's what I did. And one day my mom said, why don't you just say you're a voice actor? I said, well, I don't really have anything to say that I've done yet. I haven't really booked a major commercial, because people always ask you, oh, what could I hear you on? She said, it doesn't matter. That's what you do. That's your livelihood. That's who you are. And I never forget that. So then I started to kind of embrace that and sort of change my attitude and how people perceived who I was. And so I started to do more of the auditioning while I was still working, auditioning, and knowing that I had that more of my creative outlet. And then I ran into Brian Bremer, who is a very popular professional talent here in Atlanta, Georgia, voice acting and acting. And he and I just ran into each other at this one job that I had. And he said, you're kind of funny. I think you need to come and take a class over at Sketchworks Comedy. I said, yeah, maybe I do. I got on stage and I thought, why did I ever leave? Why did I ever leave this business? I love acting. Now, at the time, I didn't know, oh, yes, I have to be on stage and dancing and singing. I just knew it. I could feel it. So I knew I still had to work full time because of obviously making money, but I was able to make that time. And you really can make that time. If you love something so much, but you're like, I got to put food on the table and I got to eat. You can make that time for those things. And that's what makes it so worthwhile. And then when you start to, like I said, embrace kind of those things that who you are and what you love to do, then it starts to kind of make its way as your profession. Now, some people sure stick with what they're doing and maybe they just dabble here and there. And that is all well and good. But for me, I just knew I still had that fire inside of me and I was going to make it work somehow. And I ended up, I had a baby, got married, all the things. So life gets in the way. But when you have something that you just can't, you can't live without, you're just never going to give it up. And you're going to make it work somehow. And so I did.
Nice. I mean, for some reason I started thinking about addicts. Like they say, they always find a way to get that thing that gives them the hit. Yep. I think it's like if you're a true artist, or someone like you've got that diehard creativity in your soul, you're always going to find your way back there. So
yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So that's what kind of got me out of the corporate mold, because I just was like, this is not for me. This doesn't feel right. And I got involved in doing, to be able to, I knew getting out of a 9-to-5 job was going to be helpful for me so that I could dive into doing more production like work, not sitting behind, doing post-production work. I was like, I want to be in the front end. I want to be, on set doing things, whether it's location scouting or location managing or PA or whatever. I just wanted to get in it. I wanted to get in the weeds and then see sort of what really felt good to me. And ultimately by doing that, even though I'm not, doing those things now, it helped me find what it is that I like to do. It helped me define that I love acting. I don't do a lot of on-camera acting. I've thought about getting back to it, but for years I've just been really in love with voice acting. I feel like that's my niche. I think I'm good at it. I'm good at instructing and coaching people. And even for Sketchworks, I've always loved coaching. I always loved directing. I like being on stage, but I'll tell you, producing, and I'll get into it about Vape the musical, but producing has been great for me, just because I feel like that's my jam. That's where I shine,
So I have a transition question here. Before we get to talking about Vape, so it sounds like going from the corporate world where you're obviously just exchanging your time for money and someone else's dream, right?
Yep.
You started to move back into the creative world, but at what point did you really start creating for yourself, and how did that change your trajectory?
Oof, that's a good question. How did I start creating that for myself?
Like creating for yourself. Like a lot of our podcast is about, like, people. My acting teacher used to say that work begets work. And so oftentimes I found when I was younger that the people who were really in demand were the ones who were also creating their own thing, because that thing served as some sort of beacon that sort of shone out and drew people to them. And people respected them more because they weren't just grasping for someone else's thing, like, hey, give me work, give me a job. It was like there's a scarcity mentality that actors often have where they're like just looking for any work. And so they want. And the difference is these people have something that other people want. And so they're sort of secure in their own thing that they're doing, and they don't need it. But then people give them opportunities because of that. So
Yes.
that's kind of where I'm wondering where that transition happened for you.
Okay. I would say after kind of building my confidence as all those things, a producer, director, teacher and stuff, that's when I started to get more, again, with more students that would come and more of our audience would come, and my, my name would be attached to a certain show as a director or instructor, or whatever. That became I became like increasingly more, what's the word? Like, I just became more recognized, I guess, in the small community of Atlanta. And I wasn't, I felt good about that. And I felt like, okay, that this is the way to, and again, it wasn't like, my goal wasn't ever like, oh, I want to be super famous, or I want someone to know, or just be like, oh, Julie be perfect for this role, or Julie be great as this director. I just know I loved what I did, and I just kept my eye on the prize, kind of thing. Right. So it was never like you said, I wasn't like, oh, I want this, I want that. Yeah. Do I want auditions all the time from agents and all that kind of stuff? Sure. It took me a long time to get to a place where if I did I did auditions, that I wouldn't like think about it so hard afterwards. You do it, you do the best you can do, and you move on, and you learn from all those. It sounds really silly and cheesy, but you do learn from each of those moments and those times that you either put yourself out there and they say no. It just makes you even stronger. I mean, I feel like that's a Christina Aguilera song, isn't it? That song. But it's true. It does. It thickens up your skin, and it makes you go, well, no, screw you. Wait a minute. No, I know that I'm good at this, and I know that I can do that, and blah, whatever. And I know I'm not being specific because my world is so different. My path wasn't like a straight, it's never straight. And I mean, no one's path really is. I mean, obviously, but I got to a place where I did my due diligence. I did all the work that I liked to do. It made me feel good. It made me feel good that I made other students feel good. And so I sort of fused that idea of coaching and my love for comedy and my love for using my voice, and go, okay, I'm just going to define it now. I think I just need to focus on my voice acting career with coaching and doing what I like to do, and also exploring other genres. I'm not just a commercial actor. I want to start doing other things. That's why I still consistently take classes for myself. I meet with casting directors and say, I love some feedback. Let me know where I'm at. I'm not saying, hey, I'm at the top here now. I don't need that. That's not true of anybody. And then with Sketchworks, the thing is, we created Vape, the musical, Vape the musical, which is a parody of Grease. That came out of us just seeing a show in Serenbe, thinking, we love the show, but there's also some weird plot points and things about it that we could kind of poke fun of, but wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Parodies are so fun. We should try it. We try it. It becomes a hit. We get hit with the cease and desist before we go to New York. And for some reason, because we worked so hard on doing that, and we were so elated by it, and the feedback that we got from people here in Atlanta, that when we got this, like, I could just picture this big, strong arm just being like, no, you can't do it, you small, little, stupid little theater. And we're like, well, fuck you then. Yes, we can. We are within our right. And by the way, I'm not just saying it because I'm just like this little actor here in Atlanta. We consulted with the lawyer in the Southern District of New York, and he went to bat for a lot of other theaters who were trying to do parodies and won those cases. So we weren't just acting out of like, oh, you know, because we're like, because of our ego. It was within our right. And I just knew that if we could put, I mean, it was very fucking stressful, and it's stressful because yes, it's a lot of money. No, do I think that a lot of people out there in theaters and whatever have maybe the funds, the finances to do it? But for me personally, and for my business partner, we're like, we have come too far with this company. So Sketchworks has been around since 2001. We've come this far, and we're creating new content like Vape, and we want to continue to do so. We're not going to have this person, these grouping of people telling us no, when we know we are able to do it, and we're creatives, and this is our livelihood, and we are passionate about it. So that's, I think that was a major shift for me. And
So it
that
sounds like very quickly that this fight became bigger than just the musical. Now it's about like, no, you're actually having to do this on behalf of anybody else who wants to do
yes,
a parody or anything. Like now you're taking on the man.
that's right. And we did. You should have seen me on Zoom calls with our attorney and my business partner. Be like, all right, let's just, and I'm like, those guys, what the hell? I mean, Jesus, God. Well, I mean, and I'm like making fun of them and everything. They're like, okay, you know, and I mean, he's so good about it, but I mean, I would, you know what? I wanted to fight it. There were definitely times that I'm like, we're never going to get through this. They're dragging us through the mud. I mean, there's so much more I could say about it, but ultimately it was a huge learning moment for me, at least, to know that no matter how big someone is, no matter how much someone thinks that they can control something, if they're in the wrong and you know you're right, and you can, and you have the know-how, and you have the drive and all the things, then ultimately you'll probably get what you want in the end.
Hmm. That's
Like,
gotta, I mean, I know you guys, like, it's been very recent where you've kind of gotten that victory, and now you're, you know, by the time this comes out, like the show may already be going. Cause like, as we speak now, you're prepping to go,
you're going.
go do the thing.
Doing it. We had rehearsal last night. We're going up there. You know, we won the case back in May of 2022. And the minute we won it, we were like, let's just get on the phone and start talking to these theaters and figuring it out. So we're going back to a theater that we've actually performed in for a couple different sketch fests before. And we're going to perform there 3 nights in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I leave for New York tomorrow. And we're doing it. We're doing this thing. And I'm nervous, of course. I'm nervous and anxious because I really want to fill those seats. And I just want people to see it and have fun. I'm not in it for like, oh my God, I'm going to make a lot of money. I mean, it's not even going to be like that. It's just the point of us going there, going up on the street corner, Union Square and Times Square with our little flyers. The show Grease doesn't want you to see. It's written right there on the cards. You know, that makes me feel really fucking good, because I'm like, you know, we got you. You know.
Yeah. Now you get, here's the where you get to take the victory lap.
That's right.
Right. And you say,
I'm gonna take my time with that lap. Sorry.
It's not about the money, but don't you feel like it becomes so empowering when you put something out there that you've created? And especially, I'm sure, feeling, so I don't know if you said this in this take,
Yeah.
but how long was the lawsuit, and how long did it take you to get the rights to do this?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we were slated to go to New York and perform in 2019. And we just get this simple little email. Let's email that sent. It's like, due to the whatever from the Concord Theatricals. I don't care of saying their name. They sent this thing, and it's like, again, just trying to strong arm the little man, the little theaters. Which, by the way, we didn't know this going into it, but Grease, apparently, again, like all the creators of Grease and stuff, that's very much their baby. They don't like it to be a lot of like high schools and stuff, trying to get the rights and license it and stuff. It's very difficult to do.
Wow. That's
like we learned this later on.
Huh.
Right. And it's like, that's flattering. If anything, dude, we're putting Grease back on the fucking map. So people are like, oh, okay, let me go download it on Netflix. I mean, give me a break.
Because, you would think that that's what anyone that writes a play, the idea where like the schools and the colleges start putting it on, like, okay, you have made it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And
like, what are you so afraid of? Like they what's so funny? It's like, I picture all these like 3 white men who own the rights to this. One of them's dead. I mean, they're like old, right? One of them's dead. That's me. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. It reminds me of there was this clip I saw recently where I saw this lady who's like 100, like she's like late 90s, early hundreds, and she's drinking a Dr. Pepper, and she's like, they always told me these things were killed. Like I had 2 different doctors tell me these things were kill me. Now they're both dead. And then she took a sip.
I like her.
I know. That's what it makes me think of. I'm sorry.
Like her attitude in life made her just continue on. Like, okay. Yeah, it's right. They it's like they were like, wah, you hurt our feelings. That's raunchy and weird, and it's not our show. It's like, it isn't your show. That's right. We took the framework of your show and it's like a transformative work. I mean, the language in these legal documents is so intense. I mean, I literally feel like I got a law degree. But with them coming back with some of the stuff that they said with the transcripts, didn't even make any sense. It literally is like having a fight with a child. They're like, well, you guys said that. And then we're like, yeah, but that's within our right to say it. But we told you that.
I mean, but come on, like anything written like in the 50s is gonna probably have some cringe stuff in it. And that's why when you told me about that, you were like, I remember when I first heard about this, like the idea of you spoofing Grease, because like I even like with a Gen X lens, not even a millennial or a Zoomer lens, you can go back and look at stuff and go, yeah, some of those lines are like really kind of, they go, oh, like there's the one like, did she put up a fight? And you're like, dude, what's your deal? Like stuff like that.
In there, I did Grease in my senior year of high school, and yeah, there's definitely, I still remember a lot of those too. Yeah, like
there's more than a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Summer Nights, just like, yeah. So that's when, did she put up a fight? And then when they're in the car and he's like trying to like, it's like sexual assault type of stuff. And I mean, we're not like, oh, so self-righteous, like, no, we're also woke. And this, it's just the way that we do it is very funny. There's some incredible actors in it that I've been working with years. The way that it's written, it's just, I didn't write it. I mean, I'm not like trying to like toot my own horn. The girl who wrote it, Katie Hogan, she lived here. Now she's back up north. I'm going to see her this weekend, but the way she touched on things and just made light of it is so, it's like fun. It's like making a point, but not driving it home too much and being too much on the nose.
Well, I feel like that's the way to do it though, because nowadays you get all the talk like, like the trigger warnings or like the special, like the TCMs has to do a thing like now where they have to have the special intro to kind of tell you. But I feel like you're always bringing your lens of whatever time you're in to whatever you're watching. I remember back in the day watching Gone with the Wind for the first time. And I mean, this is probably back like in the 90s or something when I was old enough to kind of start actually understand. I'm like, man, Scarlett O'Hara is terrible. Why do people like this chick?
Yeah.
She's like scheming on like trying to take her best friend's husband like half the freaking movie. And then just like this whole, like, I was like, why do people like this so much? Because she's ordering around all the black people who can't talk back. It's like, this is, I mean, from a production standpoint, I see it. It's impressive, but like, I don't like any of these people except the maid.
It's the same. Like even when they first put Friends back on streaming and everyone got so excited and I tried to watch the first 2 episodes and I'm like, I can't watch this. I remember loving this show and I can't watch it. It's you know,
Same.
even stuff from like 10 years ago, sometimes you look back and you're like, oh, this didn't age super well, did it?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I have to go back and see what you mean about the Friends thing, but I can see that though. They're
Yeah.
definitely
Ross in general, like he definitely, you seeing him now, especially like me, because I remember like back in the day, like relating to that guy when I was like a young guy, but then I realized like, man, this guy's doing a lot of like toxic shit. Some of that's just, and I mean, I think part of the thing that when I see when you look at that stuff, I feel like that's kind of like it's us as a society growing. Because
Hmm.
it's like saying we can look at that, like at the time, like Ross was like one of the heroes on that show because he's trying to get Rachel. He's trying to, but he's doing a lot of like stuff. You like, dude, no. Like if I were to look like seeing a guy out there behaving like that now, and I knew him, I'm like, man, you need to pump the brakes on that shit, man. This is not cool. This is like not how you should behave as a man.
Yeah. I never really understood why I don't know why we're going with the Friends thing. We can move on, but Friends, I mean, with Frost, I was always like, I always thought the same thing. Like I just felt like he was just like needy, I guess is the word. Like
Yeah, very, very needy, very
desperate.
controlling. It's like
And
nowadays he'd be that guy that'd be like on YouTube, like he'd be watching like Andrew Tate or these other guys. They're like, yeah, toxic masculinity is a good thing. What
I don't know. Yeah, it is crazy. Like when you do look back at old, like other content from past years and stuff. But that's the thing. We should be able to poke fun at things and poke fun at us as a society. But, also, obviously we have to be cautious sometimes. And sure, there are some things. Look, there have been people in the show that it hasn't been a lot. We have all those different like disclaimers about vape. Like there's going to be use of a vape, which is vape is essential oils. It's not
yeah.
like CBD and shit, there's going to be language, some sexual content. It's not like no one's having sex on stage. It's not like that, but we simulate certain things, but it's not pushing it too much. Although for some people it is. Like a couple of people walked out of our show when we did a show at Aurora Theater in Lawrenceville. And when we caught wind of it as the actors were thinking, all right, we've offended some people. Okay, nice.
Yeah. In that case, someone who probably needed to be offended, but it's
And it's like, it's bound to happen. You can't make everybody happy. Not everyone's going to see the show and go, oh my God, it's amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, sure, some people might just say it, but they're like, that was okay. Or it's a little much for me. But the feedback, the overall general feedback we've been getting from people and stuff is just, and I'm talking through the generations, not
right.
just, I mean, my daughter, she's 14. She saw it. She gets it. If anything, she's the one I went to and said, hey, can you help me with some of these terms? Like, what does this mean? And like, how would you use it? And I was like, do you say bro or bra now? Like, which one?
I think that depends on where you're from.
No, they're different meanings.
Oh, really? Okay. See, well, now I'm showing my age, so.
Oh, it's always like so many different terms. Like, anyway, so, what's nice about the cast is that, but what we did was the director really wanted to have the T-birds, the T-birds, the pink ladies. So it's the T-bros and it's the hashtag pink squad. So the T-bros are made up of, obviously they're supposed to be all men, but 3 of them are women playing men.
Mm.
But they're not trying to be a man. They're just being themselves. It's so hard to explain. I just think it was such a really fun choice. And so, yeah, so girls playing guys parts and,
I mean, depending on how edgy you want to be nowadays, you can just say they're non-binary.
Right.
Well, exactly. Like, and it doesn't even really matter, but, and we mixed in some elements of, some videos and stuff in there too. So yeah, I don't even know where we were going with all that, but I mean, it's been a long road, but in the end, it's just so worth it. And no matter what happens like this weekend after New York, I'm just hoping that we can bring it to other cities. And from there, talking about keeping going, one door shuts. I mean, that was a big fucking thing with the lawsuit. I get it. That's always going to have to go like that. But you can't let that dampen your Not that it won't, and it will, for sure. There'll be days when you're like, because like, fuck this sucks. What am I even thinking? Like I could pursue doing this. And it wasn't until with the voice acting, I embraced the fact that I'm a voice actor. This is what I want to do. Boom, I'm doing this. Fine. I wasn't making it as my living, but I was doing it. And now I'm increasingly getting to that point where I am creating our content. We were like, let's do this parody. And you do it out of fun. You don't do it like, I can't wait until this makes it on the big screen. It's like baby steps. Do it for yourself. And then if something great comes out of it, awesome. And then that's when you're going to start getting recognized. That's when you're going to start putting yourself on the map. I mean, this lawsuit, yeah, I mean, that's putting us out there like, oh my gosh, this little theater won this court case. It's pretty fucking cool. It's not going to make us famous overnight, but it's going to catch on, hopefully. And we'll be able to do more parodies, not just us, but other people. And that'll be part of the law books. It'll say, oh, guess what? There was this case, Vape versus Grease and
Grease Inc.
And the funny thing is everybody always thinks that that they sued us. And I know it's confusing, but they're the ones who sent us a cease and desist, basically just stop production, shut it down. And we're the ones who are like, no, we're going to sue you. I don't think they saw that coming.
Nah, that's good. Good. I hope you got to, you were able to recover some of your legal fees as that as well.
Yeah, we got it all back.
Nice.
Amazing. So I want to ask though, with that, so that takes some courage. And you mentioned, just a couple sentences back about those days when you just feel like, I can't do this. And I think, from my own personal experience, there are times when you have a day where tiny things, not even big obstacles, like getting a cease and desist, which to me is a fairly big obstacle, I think. But, sometimes just the little obstacles, like 2 weeks ago, my internet was down for 2 weeks and and my car stopped working. Sometimes those little things will get in your way. So when that type of stuff happens, how do you find the strength to keep going? How do you get over those things? Because I think the question is, why bother, right? Like, oh, well, they cease and desist us. It's over. Why bother? Why bother trying? What is it that drives you forward when that happens?
Well, to your point about those not like they're small things, but like internet going out or things that come up in life that keeps somehow it's like, why does this keep happening to me? Is this a sign? Why is it telling me not to do this? So for me, and I think because, and maybe it's just my age too, but I don't know, I'm getting up there. I really have the attitude. This sounds so ridiculous. And having a 14-year-old too, I think puts things in perspective for me. Just like, let's say, give example, internet goes out. Okay. Your car goes to shit, whatever. For me, if that were me, I'd be like, all right, well, fuck you, universe, right now. Thanks. Maybe you're just trying to, test me and it's working. I'm going to get an Uber. I'm going to take my computer and I'm going to go set myself up in a cafe or whatever coffee shop. And I'm going to get the shit done that I need to get done. Or if I have a voice acting thing that I need to do, or I want to do some auditions, I'm going to go to my resources of people that I know, even though I don't have a lot of money, see if they could do me a favor. I could go in and do this in their booth or, do some kind of trade with them. Get creative. You get creative within your creativity. So it's like, okay, that sucks. Like, right now the guy's blowing around and he's outside. And it's like, oh, well, maybe we can make some fun about it. So it's kind of loud, but whatever. It's life.
Sound effects, sound design.
Effects. So I try to put a positive spin on it. Am I always miss positive? Like, oh, it's fine. We can do this. No, of course there are days I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to put away the dishes. I look at it. I don't want to put them away. I just want someone else to do it. It happen. So I feel like it's just trying to, a lot of it is improvising. You improvise.
Yeah.
So if you can also giving yourself some grace. If you know there's a day where you're like, I'm just not feeling it. Everything is going wrong today. I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to allow myself to shut it down. And I'm not going to get all pissed like, oh, I wasted a fucking day doing this shit. No, fine. Whatever. You're tired. Go sit down. Who cares? We push ourselves so much to the limit. And there's all this shit that comes up social media, Instagram. I mean, I'm a sucker for it too. I'll be like on a rabbit hole, like, and reading quotes. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I want to put my phone across the room because I'm like, I get inspired, then I get sad, and it's like, okay, and everybody's different in how they focus and how they are able to get themselves out of ruts. But it's just a matter of trying to put a different spin on it. And if, again, like a door shuts and people say another one opens, well, sure, that's true. It doesn't necessarily open right away, but then it'll feel that much more celebratory when you keep pushing forward with all of like, your rejection or whatever. And then when you get that one win, it's like, fuck yeah. Because if it were easy, everybody would be doing the shit.
Yeah. Reminds me of this one video that I really like. It's kind of like every once in a while, you pull it up and watch it for motivation. This guy named Zay Frank, we can post a link to the show. He talks about like all these obstacles being like healthy little fires to warm your ass along the way.
I love Zay Frank.
What is that? I like it. What is it?
I'll send you the video, but it's this
Yeah.
guy's talking about like, the space between, he says, I think it's about beginnings or something. I can't remember the title off my head, but he said like, this is for the people who haven't begun, who are in the space between 0 and 1. And one of the things he talks about along the way, like, these obstacles now, you can just look at them as healthy little fires to light your ass along the way, or to warm your ass, either way, whatever you like.
I know you're said to me, just to warm your ass. That's true.
And it's like, well, I remember one time, and God, I wish I could remember the quote, because I'm sorry, I can't brain today. I have the dumb. And it's like they were talking about like writing your story almost retroactively in your head, where like you got to like imagine it like, okay, I'm in this thing now, but this is going to be like, these are the list of the obstacles I overcame to get to that thing. You can look at it as like, maybe it's not history, or like, life giving you a sign. It's putting that thing up there to just make your story that much better. Because when you overcome this thing, now looking back, you're going to be like, yeah, and I had to go through that, and I had to go through that, and then, and it sucked at the time, but now it's like, it just made the victory that much sweeter. At least, I mean, that's how I'm trying to look at it when, like when you're going through like what Billy had to go through, where it's just like life is just shutting you down left and right.
There's no story without the obstacle. There's no story. If there's no friction, then there's no interest, there's no story.
Well, it's not exciting and it's not engaging and it's not real, because nobody goes through life like, oh, look at me, I'm famous today. I didn't do anything, I just got here. It's great. I mean, some people just luck into some things, but it doesn't mean that they have had horrible things happen to them, whether it's like their personal, their childhood, their whatever, or whatever. Everybody has, like you said, those obstacles, and it's like how you figure it out and find those ways. But the best thing I can ever advise anybody is to try to look at it in a different way, like literally, so it's, when I keep the lawsuit thing, and it's one thing. I mean, that was, if it hadn't been for the fact that we could pull resources together, I don't know how much we would have been able to do it, because financially. But I think because I knew we could do that, it made me feel sort of self-righteous, like not just for us, like, you can't tell us to do it, but to help people for the future for stuff like this. And not just creating content like that or whatever, and making sure that's legal, more about just like persevering and believing in your own work and being confident about it. And then so if someone says, hey, I really liked what you did with thank you, I really appreciate it. Instead of really, I don't know, I was thinking, or someone compliments you, thank you so much, I appreciate that. I think those little things add up to big things over time. And then you start to kind of, your brain sort of thinks about things in a different way too. And how you respond and react to things in life. That makes sense?
Yeah. It takes
really,
you got to win a lot of little battles to win a war. Yeah. If you want to look at it like that.
This is really fucking deep. Like no one's ever said those words before.
Exactly.
I'm revolutionary, you guys. I should write a book.
Say.
Oh, not really. No, I mean, like, look, my life's a mess. I feel like I'm very disorganized. But some people think that I'm totally organized. And I'm like, I don't, okay.
Well, it's like you mentioned earlier, like the journey is not always like a straight line. There's a lot of zigging and zagging along the way, but as long as you're making that forward progress, it seems like that because that's such a consistent thing with a lot of the people that we talk to. It's always like nobody's ever just like, I wanted to do the thing, and then it happened, and then it's like, no, there was all this stuff along the way, and you just kind of have to, you know, like Frogger your way across the highway
Yeah,
until you get to the
totally.
goal.
Well,
Yeah.
and Julie, don't you find too, I mean, so like yesterday, for instance, I got up at 9 a.m. I worked until midnight. I forgot to eat until 2. I forgot to shower all day. Things like that, where I'm just doing so many little things because I have the podcast and I have the voiceover and I have this and that and, part-time job I'm doing or whatever. And all of these things, it's like when you're trying to piece together, scratch out a place, and piece all these things together and like, you're sticking it together with chewing gum and spit and whatever. And
Yeah.
in order to create a sculpture, it's like, I don't have marble, man. This is what I got. I got chewing gum, spit, and some random garbage. I'm just going to make this thing. It's like you can't, I don't know. It's always going to look like a mess, right? Just trying to make that work. I think sometimes like you can't have a linear path even in your day sometimes with that.
No, man, there's many days when I'm like, what did I accomplish? You know what? No, I used to do that. That's the thing. I think I'm just trying to rethink or reframe. I don't know what the word is about those types of things. Like within a day, I guess I'm just not the person that looks back and goes, I didn't get this done. I look at it like, okay, what did I accomplish?
Right.
Really focus on the positive. I don't know. I'm like giving like this big Tony Robbins like pep talk thing. Remember Tony Robbins? Guy.
Oh, he's still out there.
My dad used to like be into that. I'm like, oh, I mean, that's awful because he was a motivating guy, but seriously though, and I do a lot of self-talk, especially since we're voice actors are sitting in that fucking booth by ourselves. I'm like, no, slow down, do it again. Relax. What is wrong with you? Okay, just like a lot of self-talk, and actually quite therapeutic because I mean, maybe therapeutic or psychotic, I don't know, but it's like a double personality sort of. But I'm constantly trying to literally think about things like I sound like my mom. It could be worse. It could be worse. It could be worse.
I feel like when the question is genius or insanity, the answer has a lot to do with just productivity.
Yeah. Also, we're humans and we're very intricate and we have a lot of, again, just so many things firing off in our heads, and trying to adult while you want to be creative. And then, and then we're so hard on ourselves constantly. So sometimes I just literally have to like push that shit away and go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do the fucking dishes today. I'm not going to file those papers that I said I was going to file. I'm just going to reach out to like 3 people I said I was going to reach out to about these jobs that I wanted to get involved in. That's it. And I'm just going to try to nurture those relationships. And then I'm going to go, oh, okay. Glad I reached out to that person because that really was perfect.
I'm really glad you just said that because that is something that I think that distinguishes the people who are able to find room for their creativity from people who constantly make the excuse that they can't.
Yep.
Is that these urgent things like laundry and dishes and etc. It's like those things are always going to be there, right? Like they're always going to be there. They're always going to be urgent. It's always going to be like, oh, but it's like if we can learn to ignore those things sometimes for what is more important to us. Mm-hmm. And, just some days not shower. That's fine. Like some days you just go, you know what, today, getting these auditions done, getting these jobs done, reaching out to this person, recording or making art was more important than me not stinking. So that's
nobody can smell you on Zoom.
Nope.
It's true. One of the bonuses.
Don't you feel like on some days you just you're okay. So let's say every day you have your coffee, you have the same thing you eat for breakfast. Okay. And and then, you're feeling fine. And then some days you're just like doing the same things that you do every day, but you're just not feeling it. You're just not feeling it. You're just, it's like spacing out or whatever. And I just really feel like that's our bodies just really talking to us going, you need to take 5 and just sit down and be okay with sitting down for a minute. Now, granted, I understand people can't just I can't just sit down. I got to work. True. But 5 minutes, fine. 10 minutes. I know people talk about meditation and all that. I think it's a great thing to do. I don't do it because I'm not very good at it. But see, there's negative talk. I could probably do it. Or people are like, I can never get outside for a walk. It's like, well, go for a walk and then call the person that you're going to call later. Call them while you're walking. I don't know. So anyway, I just feel like we all have our own ways to kind of get through and push through. And on days when you do feel it and you are like back to back to back, you get all these sessions and you get stuff done, you should be able to pat yourself in the back and go, that was awesome. That was a good day. But tomorrow, I'm not going to compare it to this day. I'm just going to say it's a different day. It's a different kind of day. It looks different.
Yeah. And I think that, like my day yesterday felt overwhelming, and I knew, like what you said, that I should get myself up for a walk. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't, because I knew that would help. And, so that's the thing is like, if you can put aside, throw the social media, right? If you can put that aside and give yourself what you really need, which is 5 minutes of just sitting on your patio or going out for a walk or whatever, it's like, that will make everything else so much easier. Because you can, I don't know if you've ever worked in restaurants. I was just thinking about this yesterday with my crazy day, but like, when you're in a restaurant and you're in the weeds, you start to freeze up. And I've seen people do this in regular life too, where they go, I'm too overwhelmed, I can't. And overwhelm is just like not forming thoughts in a linear fashion, right? It's like trying to drink from the fire hose. And so if you can slow down and go, no, I need to line these things up, do. If you can line them up, then they all come through smoothly, and you just go one thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. You have to like push out all the other distractions and only take one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you can do that, like if I had taken 5 minutes yesterday to literally just write everything down that I had to do, rather than go, okay, next, right, I would have felt way calmer.
Yeah.
And I know that. So.
Well, and that's the thing, I think and then if you look back on that, or you go, if I just had taken 5 minutes, or I just had gone for that walk, instead of saying those, like, I'm not telling you stop
right.
doing that.
Yeah.
But if instead of saying to ourselves, I should have done that, or I should have done that, it's like, okay, I know that would have been more helpful. So tomorrow I'm going to make a point to just get up and make that list first of what's the priority for that day. That's like, has to be done today. Like for me, sometimes on lists, I'll section it out. On my lists are so ridiculous. Like, this is the kind of notes I make. It's like, but I know where those notes are. My brain works in a different way than anybody else does. So, but I know, like, okay, if I had to get this done today, these are my exclamation points. Good. If at least I get those done, I'm golden. Do you know, I get the most shit done before I go away on a trip? Like today, the rest of the day, I'm getting ready to leave for New York tomorrow. This place will be spotless. My daughter will be all set, and have everything cleaned up. I'll do all the laundry. And it's like, everybody works in so many different ways. I'll have my bed made, so I'm kind of psyched that I have that timeline, because I work well with deadlines. If someone said, I need to have this by blank. So I have a project right now want to work on a movie idea that I have with another friend of mine. I make up all the excuses. And we're also really good friends. So we get together and we're like chatty, laugh. And they're like, well, we didn't do anything. And I'm like, we need to do this. She's such a good partner for me because she's so good at accountability. So maybe find an accountability partner. Find somebody to go every week. Let's do a check-in at 3:00 on Wednesdays. And it's like, oh, we got to move the meeting. And it starts happening like that. Find out why that's happening and then like change it to another time. But accountability is always a really good thing to do. Yeah.
I'll just say I agree with that. I've been running accountability groups for 7 years, and accountability, I think, is magic because, if you work in corporate America, you have bosses, you have stakeholders, you have all these things holding you accountable to results, right? And when you're in the real world and you're just on your own, unless a client says, I need it by this time, or if you're trying to, spearhead your own projects, you're never going to get it done if you don't give yourself a timeline and give yourself accountability for it, right?
Yes, that. And some people are so great about working solo on projects and setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for me, like, I have to have, deadlines. Like, I love when auditions come through and it says it's due by today at 6. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get it done, or tomorrow I'm going to find a way, I'm going to make it happen. And so that's the kind of thing I want to work on for myself. It's like, well, do I really want this project? Do I really want to do this? Like, what is holding me back? So I constantly, have to go through and figure all that stuff out. But yeah, having somebody you can team up with or whatever, at least. Or like you said, with the walk thing, like getting out, and sometimes walking, and I don't know, I think there are studies too that say when you walk, do something physical, like that's where you're most creative, or you solve problems or solve an issue or something in your head or make a decision.
Yeah, anything where you allow doing dishes. I mean, most people it's the shower. For me, I'm like, my showers are short, so nah. But like driving long distances or walking or doing the dishes or any manual labor, it's like if your lizard brain is busy with work, but like stuff you don't have to think about too hard, then your creative brain goes, I have to do something, right?
Yes. Yeah. But it is a sense of accomplishment, just those little things, like, again, dishes or cleaning up or something. It's like those little things you feel like, okay, like your working space is like clean and clear. So then like it kind of clears your head a little bit, maybe.
You seem very similar to me. Like I'm the same.
Maybe we shouldn't be accountability partners. I'm like, let's just hang out. Let's watch something funny.
Oh, I meant like I have to sometimes I have to have my space be clean before I can really get started on something.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah.
No, what? No, again, like that same video, the guy's talking about like sharpening your pencils. Like, no, sometimes your pencils are sharp enough.
Yeah.
Again, I guess it's that finding that line between allowing yourself grace and cutting yourself way too much slack.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
Sometimes it's got to be like, okay, feet meet fire. Let's go.
Yep.
And that's finding that balance. Yeah. So as we're kind of coming close to the end of our time, Julie, tell the people where they can find you online if they want to @ you or learn more about you.
Okay. You can go to julieshaervo.com. That's for all my voice acting coaching and the work that I do. And then additionally, if you want to learn more about Sketchworks Comedy, which is very near and dear to my heart, even though I am not currently technically an owner, it's just sketchworkscomedy.com. But on there is a link to all the Vape information about our lawsuit, where we'll be going next. Hopefully we're going to get to the point where we can license out our show so that maybe other people could do it somewhere else in the world. And there you have it.
So where's the show going to be opening in New York for anyone who's in that area?
Yes. We are going to be performing at the People's Improv Theater. So it's really the Pit, the PIT. It's in Chelsea, the Chelsea area. It's like a mid-sized theater, kind of smallish, but a lot of fun. And it's near Union Square, and not too far from Times Square. So yeah, just come on out, check us out. All the information will be there online. Currently online right now.
Awesome.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for battling through these technical difficulties with us.
Oh, that's fine. It's fine.
I'm sure compared to everything else you've been through, this is like, small potatoes.
It's fine. No, it worked out great. You guys are awesome. That was really fun.
That will be all for this episode. To keep up with the show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ScratchClawPush. If social media isn't your thing, you can contact us at scratchclawpush@gmail.com. This podcast has been a Carcutta Media production. For a full list of our podcasts, go to carcuttamedia.com/podcasts. This recording, or any portion thereof, may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without the express written permission of the publisher, except for use of brief quotations and review. Copyright 2023 by Carcutta Media, LLC. All rights reserved.